Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jeff at Lockdown Security, www.lockdownsecurity.ca. And today I'm excited to make a rather complex video, but something that I think a lot of our customers may get some use out of. And that is the iDatalink Blade AL versus Blade TB, or alternatively, the ADS ALCA versus the ADS TB. What is the difference between these interface modules? What are they? What do they do? How do they work? And how do you choose which one to go with for your vehicle? Hopefully you find this video informative. If you do, hit the like button and keep watching, because I'm going to show you exactly what the differences are between these different modules. So what we're looking at here is our website, lockdownsecurity.ca, where I've got these interfaces pulled up on the screen. Today is December 3rd, 2025. So that is the pricing that you currently see for the products at this moment. That is subject to change. So if you're watching this video in the future, these modules may be more expensive, they may be less expensive, but just as a heads up, today's date is December 3rd, 2025. So this is the Blade AL, this is the Blade TB, this is the ALCA, this is the ADS TB. What are they? Well, they are bypass modules, and they are utilized in order to effectively get around the immobilizer key or the push to start key fob in your vehicle. But they're also used for much more, especially the ALCA and the Blade AL. The ALCA and the Blade AL are convenience and immobilizer bypass modules. What does that mean? Well, that means that they have the capability on many vehicles that they're compatible with to not only bypass the immobilizer key, but they can interface with the door locks, the door pins, the trunk pin, the hood pin, and a few other features like factory arm, factory disarm for the OEM/factory alarms. So I've got up on the screen also the iDatalink website, which I'm going to show you. I've got a Hyundai 2018 Santa Fe standard key automatic as my reference vehicle, and I've got the comparison chart pulled up across all four modules. You'll see you've got the Blade AL, the ALCA, the TB, and the Blade TB. And effectively, what this chart is going to show you is what features and functions each module is going to give you. You'll see that the AL and the ALCA have many more boxes checked off versus the TB. Why is that? Well, that's because the TB only does transponder bypass. That's what TB stands for. So across any vehicle that it works on, all it's capable of doing, or all it's capable of giving you as an installer, is the ability to bypass the transponder key. Whereas if the vehicle supports it and there is DL, door lock firmware, not only will an AL or ALCA bypass the transponder key or push to start transponder fob, it will also give you things like hood status, e-brake status, RAP shutdown, which is retained accessory power shutdown. It'll give you door locks, driver door priority unlock, power lift gate control. It'll arm the OEM alarm, disarm the OEM alarm. It'll give you aftermarket alarm control if your remote starter or alarm allows it from the factory remotes. It'll give you door status and then trunk hatch status. Essentially, when I say it'll give you those statuses, it means that the firmware within the module, when it's connected to the vehicle, will provide these signals to your remote starter without you needing to hardwire them in the vehicle. If you needed these signals from the vehicle, which for a remote starter install you would, and you were installing a TB module, you would have to hardwire all of those circuits because the module is not providing it for you. So effectively, what the main difference is between the two versions of module is one only bypasses immobilizer, whereas the other one bypasses immobilizer and gives you convenience features. Now, there's also a cost difference. So full disclosure, the AL and the TB are at a different price point, which I can outline here. You can see a TB is $51.30 today, whereas a ALCA is $110.70. So there's a difference in monetary value between the two, but there's going to be a difference in time required to do the install of the full remote starter, depending on which module you use and depending on which vehicle it is that you choose to be installing a remote starter on. It is also dictated by whether or not iDatalink has DL firmware available for your vehicle. The way that you would find that out would be you'd go to www.idatalink.com and you would pull up your vehicle, the year, make, model of your vehicle, and whether it's standard key or push to start. And they will tell you right on their website whether your vehicle supports DL firmware or whether it only supports TB firmware. My suggestion to everybody as installers out there, or to installers who are wondering which module to choose, I tell everybody just go with the Blade AL or go with the ALCA. Yes, it costs more, but it covers everything and you'll never have to wonder which module should I use. Yes, you can save money using a TB, but most of the time you're going to save time by using the AL and ALCA. Not all the time, but most of the time that will be the case. Now, I have got, excuse me, I'm just battling the remnants of a cold. I have got the install guide pulled up for the Blade AL on said 2018 Hyundai Santa Fe, and I've got the same install guide pulled up for the Blade TB on the same year Santa Fe. Now, what you're going to see between the two is there's obviously going to be more wires that you need to hook up on the Blade AL than there is on the Blade TB. But the Blade AL, like I said, is going to generate those functions like door locks, arm OEM alarm, disarm OEM alarm, meaning that there's less labor on the installer's behalf when installing a Blade AL versus installing the Blade TB. Again, it's a time versus cost equation. Now, this does get pretty technical. I can certainly go through the technical side of it, but just I wanted to pull these up to show you what the difference is. So if you take a look on the Blade AL install guide, you're going to see that from the Blade AL connector, which is denoted right here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires that need to be connected to the vehicle. That's in addition to the wires that need to be connected from the remote starter. Whereas if you look at the Blade TB, you've only got 3 wires from the Blade AL that need to be connected. But there's another key difference. If you look at the Blade TB install diagram, the only wires that they're showing you to connect are the Blade TB wires. They're leaving it up to the installer to determine and find and make all the other connections that are not shown. There's going to be a ton of other connections that need to be made from the remote starter that the installer themselves would have to figure out. Versus when you look at the Blade AL, you'll see the entire install is shown in this one page. So these are going to be the wires that you need to hook up from the remote starter. And then these are also going to be wires that you need to hook up from the remote starter. And iDatalink has taken the time to show you where those wires go in this case. And they're doing that because they know what the Blade AL is outputting and providing to the remote starter. Thereby, they know what extra connections are left to connect. When you look at the Blade TB, because all they're providing in this instance, and they being iData, is the immobilizer bypass, they have no idea what else you're going to want to control with your remote start. That's why they don't show you the wires here. So again, I know that this could be confusing to a first-time installer. What I want to basically just tell everybody out there is this. If you're trying to determine what's the difference, if you're only basing that determinants or that decision on costs, you need to slow down a little bit and actually analyze, what does the AL or the ALCA do for me more than the TB does? Because it's not just a decision that you can make based on costs. As I said earlier in the video, my suggestion to everybody out there, bite the bullet in costs and always use a Blade AL or an ALCA. You'll make your life much easier. Also of note, if you are a CompuStar user, or if you're going to be installing a CompuStar remote start and you are planning on using a First Tech brand T-harness, then you must use a Blade AL. You cannot use an ALCA or a TB or a Blade TB. You must pair a First Tech T-harness with a Blade AL. That's one point that I want to drive home. And I hope you found this video relatively informative. Feel free in the comments below to ask any other further questions. Again, this is just one piece of the remote starter puzzle. It is a key piece. The interface module is very important in any remote start installation, especially on current model year vehicles. But hopefully this video makes it a little bit easier for you to understand what the differences are between the two styles of interface, at least from iDatalink. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you could, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It goes a long way to help us make more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.